Hello, grade 7. As we said, now we will solve one-step multiplication and division inequalities with negative coefficients. Now, at the end of the lesson, students will solve and graph one-step multiplication and division inequalities with negative coefficients. As you remember, we said coefficient is the factor that is multiplying by the variable. So when I say negative, it could be like this, for example, negative, let's say negative 5x plus 2 is more than or equal to 1. This is actually one example. The coefficient of x, which is actually here 5, is negative. This is negative 5. So what to do and how to deal with inequalities when they have a negative coefficient? Again, we will display everything and represent everything by the table. Now, when you divide or multiply each side of an inequality by the same negative sign, the same negative sign number or the same negative number, the inequality must be reversed for the inequality to remain true. Must be reversed. What does that mean? If you multiply or divide by negative sign, you have to flip the sign. If it's greater, it will be, it will become less than. And if it's less than, it will become actually more than. So when you divide or multiply the, variable or the coefficient when it's negative, so you have to divide or multiply by negative sign. You have to reverse, okay, or let's say flip the sign from greater than to smaller than or less than, and from less than to greater than. For example, they say, now I want you to divide and multiply. Negative 6 is less than 4, as we said, or actually 12 is more than negative 15. To graph them, actually negative 6 is less than 4. I will say this is negative 6 and this is 4. And what does it mean? It's less than. Notice here I don't put a line and an arrow on it. No, of course not, because it's not a variable, it's not x. We are just mentioning the 2 points that are, making, the two integers that make the inequality true. For example, let's go to example 1 from the book. Solve negative 2x less than 10. Check your solution, then graph the solution set on a number line. As you can see here, this is our inequality. It's actually negative 2x less than 10. Now, since it's multiplication between negative 2 and x, so the inverse operation for it is division. So I will divide by negative 2 and I will divide for sure both sides by negative 2. When you divide by negative, you have to, switch or flip the sign. Instead of negative 2x less than 10, it will be x is more than negative 5. Notice here, before it was less than, and then it becomes more than, negative 5. So the solution of the inequality negative 2x less than 10 is x is more than negative 5. And we can check the solution by substituting any number that is more than negative 5, put it in the original inequality and make sure that the inequality is true. Now I will multiply, for example, negative 2 times negative 3. Since negative 3 is greater than negative 5, it will be 6, and 6 is less than 10. So by checking, the answer is correct. Now to graph it, since x is more than negative 5, so I will put an open circle, not filled, on negative 5, and put the line with the arrow to the right, for it means that all of the numbers or real numbers that are greater than -5 are actually solution. In example 2, we will solve a division, inequality. X over -4 is more than or equal to 3. Now in this example, we will actually, as you can see here, since it's division, so I will depend on the multiplication property of inequality. I will multiply, by -4, not by 3. It's not my, I'm not concerned about what's on the right side. I just concern, or my concern is on the side of x, the variable only. Since the variable is divided by -4 and I want to isolate it, so I will multiply the inequality by -4. And to keep the inequality true, I will multiply both sides by -4. As you multiply the left side, you should multiply the right side. Then, after we multiplying the right side, as you can see here, -4 is, crossed out with -4, and x is, look, since I multiply it or multiply it by negative, I should switch the sign. It was more than or equal, and then it becomes here, as you can see, less than or equal to -4 times 3 when you multiply. As we said, if you remember, the negative sign is stronger than the positive sign. So whatever you multiply by it or divide by an integer, negative integer, so you have to put, or the final answer will be negative, and according to the product. Now here, since it's -4 times 3, so I will multiply 4 times 3, it's 12, and negative times positive, it's negative. So it's x is less than or equal to -12. Now, as you can see here, I can graph it. Before that, I can check first, of course. I will choose, any number that is less than or equal to -12. For example, let's say 20. 20 is less than -20, of course, is less than -12. So -20, I will put it, and, I will put it and try it. Now, -20 over -4 is actually 5, because negative over negative is equal to positive, as we said last time, or in the first semester, I mean. Now, 5 is more than or equal to 3, and this is actually true. Now, how to graph it? I will put a closed circle, our filled circle on -12, and then the arrow goes to the left. Why? Because we said it's less than, we said here x is less than -12, so it's going to the left side.